Do you have in mind the idea that you would like to start a podcast but feel that you don't know exactly what you want to talk about, or you are afraid that you are going to run out of ideas? Well, look at me. I've always thought that if I'm going to start a podcast, it will be 100% interview based. And don't worry, there will be interviews along the way. But right now, I'm recording my third solo episode, and this is something that I never thought it's possible. Welcome to Step Into Your Voice, a podcast for women and business moms who are ready to stop dimming their light and start showing up with courage, clarity, and confidence. I am your host, Nina Macarie, and I realized that this is the second time that I'm noticing this. When I make a decision and go full in, then somehow everything around me starts to align and it starts to beautifully come together in a very unexpected way. The first time I did this, I remember it was in December. I don't remember exactly if it was 2020, maybe. But the idea is that I made the decision that next year I'm going to be more visible. And I know it wasn't a proper goal. All I knew is that I will be more visible. I will put myself more out there. In my mind, that meant that I was going to show up on podcast interviews. And somehow I love being in Facebook groups. I'm in so many Facebook groups. And I was responding to different threads, and then I got invited on podcast interviews, or I connected on coffee chats with different people, and they invited me to be on their podcast, or other people were tagging me in different Facebook groups. And because I was posting about those interviews on my social media, I had people reach out to me in my DMs or in my inbox telling me, hey, I have this community, would you like to come and talk to them about podcasting or podcast guesting? And obviously I said yes. And now is the second time that I see this happening. Initially, I thought that this week I'm just going to record an episode, and then in my mind it was that next week I will record an interview. But then somehow the next morning when I woke up, I got an idea and I recorded my second episode. And then yesterday afternoon, I went to a speaking workshop. And obviously we learn a few techniques about how to be a better speaker. And it wasn't only about learning, we also had to put together a small talk so we can practice what we learn. And obviously the easiest for me is talk about podcasting, so that was my topic. And I came up with a simple framework on how to start a podcast. This is what I shared in that speaking workshop. And then once I came back home, I thought about it and I thought, actually, I think that I could refine this and turn it into a framework. Because I had a previous framework, but it was too long and I didn't really like it. And because this podcast is called Step Into Your Voice, I decided to name this new framework Voice. So if you are looking to start a podcast and have no idea how, don't know where to start, what to do the first thing, then keep this in mind. The name of the framework is Voice, and I'm going to break it down for you in these 5 easy steps. So step number 1 is V, and V stands for vision. So I want you to think about who is your ideal listener and why does it matter? I don't want you to just launch a podcast, put it out there, and speak into the void and no one will listen to it, because that will be only a hobby. And I don't want you to have a hobby podcast. I mean, if this is what you want to do, perfectly fine. But if you want to start a podcast that is also going to help you with your business, then I need you to think about it a little bit more strategically. So, who is going to be that ideal listener, the ideal client that you are looking to connect with, that is going to fall in love with your podcast? In my case, this ideal listener is this online business mom who is struggling in her business. She doesn't know how to attract more clients. She feels that she doesn't have time to spend every day on social media. She hates creating content for social media. She wants a more meaningful connection with her ideal client, and she thinks that a podcast would be a good medium for her, even though sometimes she feels like, who am I to launch a podcast? There are so many out there already, like why would I start another one? And if you are thinking this way, then I want you to think about the person who wants to open a coffee shop in your town. Why would they do this when there are so many already? Well, I think it's because of the experience they are offering, and this is what you are going to do too. How the experience that you are going to offer through your podcast is going to be different than everything else that is on the market already. And then why does this matter? Because I do believe that you too have a voice, and I want you to use it confidently. When I look at myself, when I started this business, I was not confident at all in my voice. I did not want to stand out. I did not want to be visible. I thought that all I can do is work behind the scenes. But now I am deciding that I have a voice and I'm going to put myself out there, because I want to show other people, I want to show other online business moms that they can do the same. And then also I realized that somehow I attract other clients who are not moms. Some of them are married, others are single, but they love to travel extensively. And I feel that is something that we have in common, and somehow we are able to connect around this idea of traveling, and we work together so well. So my ideal client is this online business mom who thinks she has a voice, but she has all these doubts and fears, and we can work through those doubts and fears. And I want to show you that it's possible to start a podcast no matter what. Now that we have an idea in mind of who our ideal listener is, it's time to move on to number 2. And this is the outline. What are you going to talk about on those episodes? And to be honest, this was a struggle of mine. I thought, okay, but I don't talk too much. I am not a verbal processor. I like to daydream. That's my favorite activity. I don't like to talk a lot. What am I going to talk about on this podcast? And somehow I just got ideas because I went all in. And somehow I got these ideas. Actually, this morning I was thinking how fun it would be if someone would invent some kind of device that could record our thoughts when we are doing some random things around the house, like folding laundry or cooking or things like that. I feel that when I have my hands busy, it's when I have the most interesting ideas, but I cannot jot those ideas down because my hands are busy. And if I'm gonna stop from the activity that I'm doing and go record, then I'm not doing either of those things, and it's somehow, I don't know, it just doesn't fall into place. But I feel that, when my mind is free, I have great ideas. So, anyways, or even in the shower, we all have great ideas in the shower. But trust me, if you decide to go all in, then you are going to find those ideas. First of all, if you have your ideal listener in mind and you think about their frustrations, their challenges, their big dreams, you can start addressing those. And this is how are you going to come up with some ideas to start with. And then the more you will do it, the more ideas you will get. It's so funny because I thought that this week I'm only going to record this first episode, and then the following week I am going to record an interview. But somehow the second day I got a new idea, then the following day I had another idea. So somehow, as I said, everything falls into place so beautifully, and I have ideas. So trust me, if you go all in, you keep in mind your ideal listener, you will find ideas. Just go a little bit back. Just think about the frustrations, the challenges that you've overcome so far, the things that you wanted to know when you started your business, or the things that you do in order to help your clients, and start share more about those things. If you want to do solo episodes and if you want to do interviews, again, think about those guests that could help your ideal listener move a little bit further, move a few steps ahead on their journey. Next step is I, and this one stands for intention. And here is where I want you to think, what do you want your ideal listener to feel? And I think this is very important because, as I shared in that first episode, I love podcasting for this power that a podcast host has over their listeners, to help them dream big, to help them come up with a vision that is so big that they are sometimes even afraid of. And for me, it's very clear that I want my listeners to feel empowered, even if they are scared, even if they are so afraid, even if they don't feel they have a voice, even if they feel, I am terrified, who am I to do this? I'm telling you, you have a voice and you need to make a decision that you can do this. And once you do so, you can start taking action. And that is the most important thing. But first of all, I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel that, yes, I also have a voice and I deserve to share my voice. There is no one out there who can stop me. So just look at me. This is what I want you to feel when you are listening to this podcast. The next step is C, and C stands for clarity. And here I want to share a little bit about the equipment that you are going to use so that you can sound confident and clear. I want you to keep in mind one thing. Is it your podcast going to be only audio, or is it going to be audio and video too? There are some podcasting platforms where you can put video other than YouTube. So you can put your video podcast on Spotify as well, and it will play as a video. So if you decide to go all in, then do video too. This is my recommendation. And to be honest, actually, I don't like those podcasts that are only on YouTube, because sometimes when I travel, I like to listen to podcasts, and if I'm driving and the podcast is only on YouTube, then no, I cannot watch it. But if it's also on a podcasting platform, then I can listen to it. So this is why I decided that I'm going to do both. I'm going to put my podcast on YouTube, but it's also going to be available for the audio version. So here is where I want you to consider investing in a mic. This is very important because some of your listeners will be listening to your podcast while they are at the gym exercising, or maybe they are walking their dog and they are using headphones or whatever they are doing and they use headphones. Then it's very important to have a very good sound, because just think how annoying it can be to have a bad audio with cracking sound. No one is going to listen to your entire episode. So investing in a good mic is very important. I have here a Blue Yeti. I also have a pop filter and a boom arm because I don't want my microphone to stand on my table, and with every move that I make, it's going to mess up the sound if it stands on directly on the table. So I'm using a boom arm. And then if you want to do video as well, then invest in a very good camera as well, because I think that the laptop camera doesn't do a very good job. So decide if you do audio only or if you do video too, and then just the budget for that. I'm going to share in the description some of my recommendations for microphones and cameras. If you only want to do solo episodes and you feel that I don't have the budget to invest in a microphone, then your phone could also work. But if you want to record interviews, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult to record interviews on your iPhone and also have good quality sound. But if you only want to do solo episodes and you feel that you don't have yet the money to invest in a good quality microphone, just start with your phone, do solo interviews until you get that money, and then once you have it, please invest in a good microphone. Now that you have your equipment, it's finally time to move to final step. This is E for execute, and this means that you are ready to record, you are ready to take action. The most important thing, without recording, there is no podcast. So don't forget to press that record button, because sometimes I am right now using this platform called Squadcast, and it comes also with the script, and this is the software that I'm using to edit podcasts. And sometimes you connect on this platform, or maybe it's Zoom for you, or whatever platform it is. You see yourself on the screen, you start talking, but you forget to press record. Yeah, that can happen. What can I say? You just need to be patient enough and record the second time. It's a little bit more embarrassing if you did this when you record an interview with a guest. But hey, things happen. And sometimes it's not about the actual thing that happens, it's what you do when the thing happens. So don't give up. Record the second time, a third time if you have to. Don't give up and keep going. This is what I did. This is my second take. Yes, probably the first time I had some other ideas that I forgot to share in this recording, but that is totally fine. I decide to think that this second version is a better one, and I'm gonna move on. That's all. I'm not going to give it more thoughts. I'm just gonna put it out there. Until next time, I want you to remember that you have a voice. Use this voice framework to start your podcast, and can't wait to hear from you. If this framework is useful, if you are going to use it, let me know in the comments if that's helpful, and see you next time. Take 2. This is the second time I'm recording this because guess what? I forgot to press the record button. Oopsie.